Hey everyone, and welcome to Kane Chat, where I talk about just about anything and everything that I feel like talking about. Now, in this episode of Kane Chat, I am going to be talking about Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. Now, if you've seen that before in a previous video of Kane Chat, then I'm telling you that this is not that video. I'm actually going to be discussing my opinions and thoughts on Pokemon Sun and Moon after playing them. Um, Even though technically I've completed Moon, but I'm still working on Sun. But again, there's only slight differences between the two, so there's really not much point. And unfortunately, I am probably going to be talking about all of the different aspects of this thing and my opinions on it and what I think they could have done and things like that, which unfortunately is going to include spoilers. So thus, if you don't want to be spoiled for playing Pokemon Sun or Pokemon Moon, please click away now, go to the next video, or just go do something else while I do this. And another key note, you might hear a little bit of congestion. Unfortunately, not much I can do about that. Like that. Anyways, um, so with that, I'll give you about 10 seconds to click away before I start. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, hi. And for those of you who decide to stick around, whether because they just want to know what Pokemon Sun and Moon, like how the ending is, or most likely the latter case, you're just wanting to, hey, what's this guy's opinions on it? Um, welcome. And thanks for staying. Anyways, so Pokemon Sun and Moon are the seventh generation of Pokemon games, and unfortunately, I noticed that there are a couple of firsts for this thing. Not only is it the first game that completely does not add any kind of gyms for, the fact of gyms. I mean, I did have a slight theory that, I did hear some rumors that apparently you establish the Pokemon League and you're the one who actually establishes the gyms, which would have been an awesome feature to add, instead of having your own, like, secret base, you have your own special gym that you can create your own little traps and all that thing and then set up your little guys here and there. Unfortunately, that was not in this game. Would have been awesome, but unfortunately no. Um, Anyways, another first for this is the fact that it's the very first game, of Pokemon, of the very first generation of Pokemon where you don't need the newest version of the handheld to be able to play the game. Example, like, to really go off of it, you have first gen, of course, you need the Game Boy. Well, I should say more to be able to experience every single feature of the game, or at least basically, it's basic. You require the one, being a different system than the previous ones to experience everything. For example, how first gen was the Game Boy. There wasn't really anything before it, handheld wise, for Nintendo, so there wasn't anything. Gen 2, you needed the Game Boy Color to experience the full game. Then you have like uh then of course Ruby and Sapphire, third gen, you required a Game Boy Advance, even though it couldn't even be played on the previous games. Then you had, the fourth gen, ignore that. Anyways, then you have like fifth gen that requires anyways, then you have like uh yeah, fourth gen required the DS to handle everything. Fifth gen is a lot of people like, oh, it handle the DS. Well, actually, in order to use all of fifth gen's features, you required a DSi. It was not unplayable on the regular DS, but in order to do every single feature for fifth gen, including the little cross-chain receiver, little chat thing going on, unless I mixed that up with a different sixth gen. No, that was the Holocast. Anyways, but in a sense, you still needed the DSi to be able to be able to play the game fully. And of course, 6th gen was the Nintendo 3DS. And of course, 7th gen is the first one that you don't require the first newest version in order to be able to play it all. Yeah, I've been playing it on a new 3DS, and it doesn't even use use the extra buttons like at all. Like it's something I would like maybe think, oh, maybe use the second shoulder buttons to be able to, I don't know, bring up a menu or use a special key item, or even the joystick to be able to move around, or even, yeah, they did. They did. It's officially. I don't. A lot of people might notice by now, but yes, they did remove HMs for rider Pokemon, and using the cross pad. Yeah, you can't even move around on the cross pad anymore. You have to use the circle pad because the cross pad is used to allow, basically, it's kind of their the little, the select, the quick item, but instead of using an item, you actually can only use it for the ride Pokemon. Um, which is interesting. Like, that's one of the things that I'm going to touch on real quick is the ride Pokemon. I like the idea. I mean, it's personally, like when I was talking about before about how what they could do, like with the, like my theories about what they'd do if they like did a whole reboot the series about removing HMs. I like what they did here in a sense. You know, I mean, really, some of the Pokemon I would have preferred something, a different Pokemon, but at the same time, you know, it worked. My biggest issue, or kind of slight annoyance, is the fact that when you ride these Pokemon, if you've seen in any of the little pictures or whatnot, the little outfit you're wearing, yeah, you are forced to wear that. And like, there's no ands, if or buts about it. You have to wear that outfit. And it bothers me a little bit, even like when you're in battle, you will still be wearing that outfit. And especially with the customization thing, but yeah, you still keep your skin tone, your hair color. But I did notice another thing on the female, the character I had for the longest time, my female character on Sun, I gave her those little those little braid things going on, and this, she has no bangs, but yet for some reason when she's wearing this outfit, she's got bangs. I'm like, what? I don't know. It's weird. It's like, okay, I have to change my hairstyle, but that's just, it's little small little gripes. I get that, you know, they want them to make wear something so it makes it seem more safe for the player, even though it's funny how most of these other characters don't. Like one of the characters, Hapu, she, you can see her riding Mudsdale. She don't wear a helmet. You don't even wear this special gear. So it's a little annoying. I know some NPCs, excuse me. I know some NPCs that you see going around, they at least wear the helmet. You know, but why can't we just do that? You know, why can't we do the helmet? And yes, that reminds me of another thing. Hats and customization are removable. That is awesome. Anyways, I guess I should go like a little bit of nitpick for a few smaller things without getting too spoilery. Yeah, hats are removable. That's an awesome feature. Unfortunately, one of the things that is a little annoying is if you have your hat removed and you go to a store and you're just kind of just looking around, you know, browsing like the different hats, it won't show it on the player. Like it won't show them like wearing the hat. But it doesn't do it in all of them. I think it does it in most of them though. I thought that was weird. I'm like, why can't I see the hat on the character? Yeah, I know it's removed, but still. And unfortunately, the hat is the only removable. Well, never mind. You have hair accessories and head accessories, because yeah, now you can actually wear sunglasses, which is cool. Just another minor nitpick is they have no I forget what they're called. The things that on the lens, uh, those little, basically you see the lenses, but you don't see the little thingies that actually hold it to your head. I can't think of the word, and it's gonna bother me. But anyway, and in the future we're like, it's this, and I'm like, no. Anyways, hey, you don't see that on the thing, you know. So I'm like, okay, that's a little weird, but whatever. Excuse me. Another thing they did lock a few hair colors, which was the wine red, I mean the wine red and the white hair colors. You can't access these until after the game, which um it's kind of dumb. Yeah. And again, you still don't get to see what they look like. I'm like, what's the point? I mean, why can't we see them? Why do I have to Google it just to see what it's gonna look like? That to me that doesn't make any sense. I mean, yeah, like, oh, we don't have to make a model, or well, or change it, that's another save. You could just, I don't know. To me, it just doesn't make sense why we can't show the player, especially considering you have to pay upfront before you even get the haircut. I mean, okay, it makes sense, if you change your haircut, you know, you can't just like, oh, poof, pop it back into place. That, something like that. But at the same time, again, it still kind of bugs me. That's usually why I usually save it before I do it. And finding that wine red. Plus, another thing is colors. Yeah, colors can be exclusive, game exclusive. For example, all your warmer colors like, your red and your, I think they're orange and things like that, those are exclusive to Sun, which drove me up the wall because I wanted my character on Moon to wear a red shirt. Yeah. And to get one red hair color, because, I have red hair, but it's like, urgh. Yeah, it drove me crazy. And, the ones from Pokemon Moon, you have like your blues and purples and stuff like that. Why? I'm like, really, right? I mean, they do have a new feature in the little festival plaza thingamajig where you can basically, if you find someone wearing a shirt, you're like, oh, you can basically order that shirt. That's a way, in a sense, another way to get it, like the color you want, besides just dyeing the thing, which you have no idea how difficult it is just to be able to set up the plaza. It got to the point where I haven't even fully messed with it yet because I'm like, you can buy a new thing, but in order to use that thing, you have to replace one of your one of your little things around it with the new one, which, that makes sense, but the old one goes bye-bye. Literally, you can't just replace it again. You literally have to go find it and buy it again. And as far as I know, it's still, um, it goes back to level 1 or I don't know. So I'm like, what? Really? That's stupid. I don't know. It bothers me. And you have a lot of people who are like, hey, I'm looking for something to eat. Like, yeah, when you talk to them, they'd be like, they have like a little side mission you can do for them. Like, hey, like, where can I go to eat? Oh, here, go to this place. Yet a bunch of people's like, hey, where can I go to eat? Why'd you come here? This place has no place to eat yet. I'm like, seriously, it's like, it's bound determined to be like, hey, you're going to fail. Anyways, but that's just a lot of side things. Um, Going on. I might mention a few more as I mention the rest of the things. Anyways, so now let's get into the story. Now I have to admit, I was kind of hyped up on this story, especially with Noggin and all his reset theories and things like that, and even just whether or not they actually did reset it. I was looking for something awesome and big. Not to say that the story was gone. I mean, honestly, it did, for what it did have probably the more in-depth journey and story or whatnot than a lot of the previous ones. The problem is just, with me, I guess my problem was that it bothered me because I was waiting for this thing to happen. Or, me more specific, like, to sum it all up, Noggin's little theory that he had for the reboot, he believed that most likely in this episode, this game, basically basically either the Aether Foundation or Team Skull they're going to try to create a Chimera or something like that to be able to be able to have him fight Arceus, and I don't know, to either get all power or something like that. And like, it was pretty interesting. And basically he thought that at the end, he would go like, grr, humans aren't fit to live now, I'm gonna wipe everyone out. And I'm like, oh, that's a little interesting plot. And even if it's not, then you have all the things with the Ultra Beasts. And you know how they were hyped up. These Ultra Beasts, they were hyped up. They were like, man, boom, we have these things. And yeah, like, really? Plot wise, they only really used one? Like, seriously. Um, but I'll get into that. Anyway, which, honestly, again, my problem with the story was more the fact that I was hyped up and I was disappointed because it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. and more like literally, it followed the exact same flow as all the other games. And I'm like, yeah, cool. It's a little bit more in depth. In fact, actually, I still like X and Y story more. More specifically, why? Because it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, okay, I mean, because I'm like, it makes more sense that he's using Eva Toll's power, the original one, who used it to power up the machine instead of the life Pokemon to power up a death machine. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like uh anyways, but that's beside the point. Um I still like that one. It still had that adventure, but more of a journey or something like that with like a bunch of friends for the most that they could do. Like it had an awesome atmosphere. This one it still had it, but I don't know, I guess it just didn't bother me as more and like Kukui was following us around. I'm like, okay, and like why can't I just go kind of do my own thing or whatnot? I don't know. Anyways, so really, for the most part, again, it had a more in-depth story. Um, Basically, you follow Lily, and it was some of the things that I wish I hadn't have learned, like the fact that Nebby is technically the pre-evolution of the main game starter. Yes, I just spoiled it for you if you're at one, but if you're watching this, you actually don't care. And the story kind of really centered around that, and it would have been much more of a mystery, like going through the game and things like that. I'm like, it would have been like, oh, that's awesome, things that I could kind of theorize myself instead of like, no, I already know what it is. So that's another reason why it would have been a little cooler if I hadn't have known that in advance playing it. But again, I mean, and unfortunately, no, you don't. You're trapped in a Lola again. Yeah, I'm like, but I'll get to that. Anyways, so basically, you go through the trials. Same thing with the other ones. You have the same flow. I mean, again, he did have the longest startup and literally all of the games so far. I'm like, like literally, I used my son and reset it so I can get the third starter that I wasn't planning on using, which was Poplio, by the way. And I'm like, "Ugh." Anyways, but so like I used that to reset it, and man, it took forever just to get to the point where I could finally trade. Yeah, I was sitting there skipping and skipping and skipping, and yeah, I mean, if you're actually following along, it's not that bad, unless you really, really, really can't wait to trade, which is kind of what I was doing. But anyways, so you have your start. You start on your trials, or in the other case, gyms. You progress through them. As you progress, you have minor encounters with the evil team, which in this case, I don't know, like I'll get to Team Skull in a bit. But anyways, you have your minor encounters against the evil team, which eventually, even though they did have a nice little halfway point little story, that's basically halfway you get invited to the Aether Paradise, which I thought was like, oh, I wasn't expecting to be here until like at least the island after next. But anyways, you get there. That's where you meet your first Ultra Beast. I think it's like Nihilego. I can't remember how it's Nihilego. I don't know how to pronounce it, but the Ultra Beast one, UB01. You meet her in that one, and you have a little battle against it. If you knock it out, you can't catch it because you just can't. It won't let you. It just won't let you. You have a battle against it. If you can either knock it out if you can, or in my case, after so many hits, or when it gets pretty low, because I think I like one hit or two hit KO'd it, and when I played Sun, but when I played Moon, I got it down to the red zone, and that's when it ended the battle and hightailed it out of there. And like a little bit of insight between the mother with Lusamine, and you're like, oh my goodness. Oh, that was another thing you find out. Like, less spoiled, I knew that Lily was Lusamine's daughter. That was, I really kind of wish that, it would have made a little bit more of a ongoing, oh, this is cool. Like, ooh, I wonder if this is how it is. Like, that excitement, that build up. but unfortunately I already knew that that's how it. Well, then again, I didn't fully know, but it was like it was enough theories around it that the first hint, I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. Like the very first of it, before you're even introduced. Wait, no, it's after it. After you're introduced and go through the whole "Welcome to the world of Pokemon" little phase, which I'll admit they did it a lot better. Especially like instead of Oak asking, "Are you a boy or are you a girl?" Which, yeah, and it's funny like that doesn't actually happen. He's like, "Hey, which of these is pick one of the which of these is your profile pic?" Which I thought like, wow, that's a way to say, "Hey, whether I'm a boy or a girl," without the character actually having to ask whether you are. Because he's like video chatting you face to face, and I'm like I'll admit that they did better on that. But after that, you see what's her face Lily running in the Aether Foundation from the Aether Foundation people, and I'm like, man, that just kind of spoils it right there. And yeah, if you notice the little thing, that's just because my thing keeps on timing out and it tries to go off. And yes, I know this probably will be a little bit of a longer one. But anyways, yeah, that's it. Anyways, so back to the thing. So you continue on. Um, you're doing your journey. You have a few minor encounters with the bad guys. You fight an admin or two here or there, which is actually well, no, there's two of them. Technically, there's one that's an actual admin, which is Plumeria, and then there's Gladian, who technically isn't an admin. He technically is, but also isn't. Which, anyways, so then it moves on, and eventually, right before the final island, just like majority of the Pokemon games, is right before you get to the 8th gym. Oh my goodness, it's time to wrap this up. The story. Like, literally, that's same flow. I'm like, really? No. Then you find out, yeah, what's his name? The professor, he wants to start a Pokemon League. I'm like, oh, that means awesome gyms, and we can make. Oh, nope, sorry. That wasn't what it was. No, what he meant by Pokemon League, he meant by setting up the Elite Four. And to get to the Elite Four, basically you have to complete the Island Challenge. Because before, according to what Professor said, before, once you completed all the trials, they would hold a ceremony and boom, now you're the quote Island Champion or whatnot. But that was it. They just had a ceremony. But now he says, okay, now we're changing it up and having you fight the Elite Four. But anyways, I mean, it did. Again, they still had more character development and things like that. Um. Anyways, so moving on. So yeah, so then it wrapped it up, the main story, which basically, you find out that Gladian and Lily are both the, kids of Lucamine. Um, Gladian has type Null, and basically they were trying to, from what no. And basically they make you think that they made type Null to battle. I mean, the theory went that they made type Null to battle Arceus. No, that's not how it is. They made type Null to battle Ultra Beasts. Yeah, that's what it was. That's what they made type Null for. Actually, they made 3 of them. So Gladian has 1. I know he gives you 1. So I wonder what happened to the second one. Anyways, but there's this whole little thing in the game if you want to check it out and all that fun stuff. But she kind of has that overly obsessed mother love, like I love her or something like I don't know. And yeah, she goes with the Team Skull leader into the ultra space, and then it brings in the second one because a lot of the times the Pokemon games they'll usually start the wrap up or have the wrap up right before you hit the 8th gym, and some of them that's when they start it, but then they include getting the 8th badge in part of the wrap up, like in the Hoenn games. Basically, in order before you can access the Hall of Origin or whatever. Wait, no, actually, not all of them. I know Oras, like you have to, collect the final gym badge, because then you're allowed access to it. Or in most cases, usually it wraps up right before you get the final gym badge. That's pretty much the exact thing you, but, basically in order to really fully complete this, you have to get these two flutes, a sun flute and a moon flute, and you get them, this is more like in-depth thing with Lily, and eventually, yeah, you get your flutes, you go up to the top, you play them, Nebby, because apparently they used Nebby to open the wormhole, but it had evolved, though they don't know it. Anyways, at least that's not what he looks like in this little cocoon-like thing. If you look on it, because literally I thought like Nebby's the pre-evolution of this guy at the Cosmog, and then the other one's the pre-evolution of the other one. Nope, they're actually it's a chain. Literally, Cosmog evolves in the second one, and that one evolves into which either Solgaleo or Lunala, depending on the version. Admittedly, I don't know if you trade it over to another one and evolve it, if it will become the other one or not. But yeah, anyways, yeah, and you can actually get a Z creature of all the types, but not all of them you actually get. And I wish I'd stop doing that. Yeah, I think I was watching, the only thing you saw is like that whites out, but it bothers me. Anyway, so, but again, I mean, it was interesting, and then suddenly the Ultra Beast fuses with Lucamine, and then you have another Pokemon battle. No, you don't fight her. No, no, no. I mean, you fight, her Pokemon, which now have these super buffed up. They have those little things that the Totem Pokemon get because they get a boost, and yeah, they have someone mentions that, but so again, kick her butt. You bring her back. Everyone's leaving. Blah blah blah, and now it's time for you to face the Elite Four, which is interesting. And I think apparently Kukui, his goal was he wanted to make all four of the Hokanas. I mean, that's not right. Kohanas into basically they want to turn those guys into the Elite Four. Unfortunately, he got two of them. The first two you meet, and then the second one, he didn't want to do it. I mean, he barely wanted to be a Kahana. So yeah, so he turned down him, and in the fourth one, it's just some random character you meet later. I mean, actually, that's the first time you meet her, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, so then you fight her, and then the thing I thought was pretty cool. Like I'm like, are they doing to do that? I was wondering like, oh, do you just become champion because you're the first person to become champion? No, Kukui actually challenges to a battle because yeah, I thought like, man, that's awesome. And he also has the starter Pokemon that is the one that you don't have and How doesn't have, which is kind of your rival kind of thing going on which is awesome because like man that's a total throwback because originally the Professor Oak in Gen 1 was going to have a battle against you, which makes me wonder if that's originally how they were going to do it, as in if they were originally going either make Oak the champion or instead of his grandson, or if there's going to make it that it wasn't a champion yet and you fought that way, which definitely would have been interesting. But either way, you fight him, kick his butt, take his name, and all that fun stuff, and you become the champion. And another thing I thought was awesome is the fact that once you go back previously, you do have to fight all four members, but then the Elite Four just to get back to your chair. I'm like, that part I think is kind of dumb, in my opinion. But you do that, and then you basically get to fight a challenger, and it's not just one person. It can be a random of either Kukui again, How, Plumeria, she'll come challenge it. Hapu, she'll come challenge, and a couple other people. And even the funniest one was a youngster, the one that you fight. And I think it's like I think they said it was the very first one you fight. He comes to challenge. That is awesome. I'm like, yeah, so there's some exciting bits. Anyway, so once you're done, then you find out Lily is going to the Kanto region. I'm like, oh, does this mean that they're gonna let us go back to a region? I'm like, honestly, I was excited, but no, no. Lily leaves for the Kanto region. I did think it was an awesome throwback to when you first meet Bill, the person who made the PC storage, because you know how he was looking like a Pokemon and you have to do that? Yeah, like, 'cause apparently when Lusamine merged or whatnot with the UB, excuse me. Anyways, when she merged with the UB, apparently she got poisoned or something like that, and they're hoping that the machine that Bill used during that time to unfuse himself with the Pokemon will basically help Lusamine take out the poison from her, which it's awesome, and it does give me a slight theory. Yeah, pause for dramatic effect, or just for me to get a drink. But I'm like, it makes me wonder if maybe what if the next games are going to be like a Kanto sequel? It would be interesting. See like what's going on with Lily and all that stuff. But anyways, I think that's it. I mean, again, I guess at the time it was more disappointing, the storyline, than what it was, because I was expecting like, because yeah, like whenever they do open up the Ultra Space or whatnot, and Lily and what's his face, yeah, Team Skull was working for the Aether Foundation. They really don't hit on that very much, very hardly. They're just like, yeah, we were working for him, and that was it. I'm like, really? Like that's it? Like they don't explain more like why or anything like that. And I guess I can touch on this now. Like Team Skull, they were pathetic. I mean, they are honestly pathetic. Like they only have most of them only have one or two Pokemon, usually one. And when they corner you for this little things, they just have one thing. Like at first, it was funny. I mean, I'll admit, and it still kind of is. It was funny, but they're more pathetic than Team Rocket. And I'm not talking about the show's Team Rocket. I'm talking about the normal Team Rocket from the games. And my problem with Team Rocket is that, in a sense, well, again, I don't think they just make him as bad as they could. Like in Origins, technically, even though technically you kicked Giovanni's butt, but according to Origins, Giovanni's the one who won, which made it a little bit more interesting or something like that. I mean, but I just don't think it hyped them up good enough. And all the biggest thing is they took over uh, what was it? They took over a company. They tried to steal a company from a company, and then they took over a radio tower, and yeah, well, they chopped off some slowpoke tail, but I mean, but they still did some stuff, and even though they still had the whole mentality or whatnot about these things, but these new guys, Team Skull, I'm sorry, they were just treated as jokes. I mean, yeah, they had a point where at certain times they're like, yeah, they're big bad guys. But then for the most part, when you're facing them, they're just jokes. I'm like, really? Like, even one, the very first trial captain, I thought he was a she for the longest time. Which is, it's sad, but no, it's a guy. Anyways, so, um, so you're sitting there having a conversation with trial captain, and then Team Skullgoons come up, and it was funny and then she's like, I mean, the Team Skull's like, yo, 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 what's up? And like, grr, we're Team Skull, fear us, and trial captain just turns back to you and like starts chatting away, like even the music changed too. I'm like, wow. But again, I mean, it just they didn't really do anything. Like, yeah, there was a point where they kidnapped Nebby. They did something then, but besides that, I'm like, they didn't really do anything to really fret. Like, why these guys are a threat? You know? I really wish they would have expanded on it. Like, how these guys really are a problem. I mean, yeah, they steal Pokemon. Yeah, so I don't care. They're jokes. Even more so than Team Rocket, because definitely in this game, they actually are literally, uh, are treated as jokes. Even the scenarios are treated as jokes. Anyways, but again, I don't know. Anyways, so after it's all said and done, then you have the Luke. Anyways, alright, back to what I was saying. So the Ultra Wormhole comes up. You see these other Ultra Beasts falling down, and I thought at that point, that's when like we'd have to go around and go find them and take care of them, or have like a fun little scene, like the scene you see, like I think in one of the preview trailers, how you see Kahana uh, Hala, and him with Tapu Koko, and they're about to face either UB002, I mean, whichever the exclusive UB02 or whatnot, and they're about to square off. I thought like I was gonna do something more with that. Like I literally thought you were there. Nope, you're not there. Yeah, the holler they don't like. Oh my goodness, they just kicked their butt and that was it. I'm like, you don't even get to see the battle. You don't even, not really, anyways. At least the majority of them. Like I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's just. I thought these Ultra Beasts were gonna have more of a part in the story, and then when you finally get to tangle with them, there's not much to it. Yeah, you tangle with them in the Lucre episode. Lucre, in a disguise, gives you a note to say, "Hey, meet us," and you find him and his boss, Annabelle. If the name sounds familiar, congratulations, that's who she is. But anyways, um, but apparently she got promoted above Lucre due to corporate espionage, whatever. Anyways, they're tasked with collecting the Ultra Beasts. I mean, again, it was a little bit more in-depth talking wise, but for the most part, it followed the same pattern. It really wasn't that as detailed or interesting. Yeah, I mean, what they were saying were interesting, but that was it. Like, you don't, I don't know. I still say that the Sun and Moon Lucre episode was still my favorite. I could probably go Lucre episode, not Sun and Moon, X and Y Lucre episode, Delta episode, and probably this one will be in there. Anyways, basically it's the same thing. You go in there, Lucre goes to check out the stuff, then you have to go to another place, usually to look up something. But no, actually no, usually it's, actually no, basically you do that, you go, you take care of the Ultra Beast, you come back. Apparently, Luca's already gone, looking into the next one. You have a little chat or something going on, and then Luca comes in. He says, "Oh my goodness, it's a disaster!" In some language, like yeah, literally, he changes how he says it each time. He speaks in different language, and he's like, "English, please." And I've always wanted to like see like a Japanese show or something like that where they talk in English. I'm like, yeah, I actually did see a show like that when they did talk in English for a little scene. As I'm like, wow, like, that's crazy. Anyways, so um, but anyways, so it was interesting, but eh, but anyways, so and then you go to the place, you find it, like literally all I did was hit a repel, because literally you find them in the grass like a wandering Pokemon, but they're only in specific areas, like literal, actual specific areas. As far as I know, you can catch them in either or place, it doesn't really matter, because they give you two options with one exception, and that's the final one. And that's it, like, you just go, you catch them, you come back, and that's it. I'm like, that's disappointing. Like, you don't actually have, like, a little thing going on with each Ultra Beast. No, you just go catch it and that's it. It's like, the individual Ultra Beast does not matter. It only matters that it's an Ultra Beast. You catch it. That's it. Anyways, Annabelle, she's working on trying to do that. You find out that Annabelle is from another dimension. In fact, they found her, and it's funny because you find out clues about who she is. She says that, anyways, she said that she's from Hoenn. She can't remember anything but her name. She's from Hoenn, and she guarded a tower. For those of you wondering, she's from Emerald version. Yes, she is the Battle Frontier, the Frontier Brain who is in the Battle Tower. I know, it's awesome. But, and I thought, like, I was wondering, hey, it's kind of interesting how at the end of Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, you find a Lucre and that one in the Battle Resort at the same time. So it makes me wonder how that's connected. Granted, he fires in a different dimension of Hoenn, obviously, because the Battle Tower doesn't exist yet. Unless it happened in the future. I don't know. Either way, another thing that happens is if you take Lunala at night to where you first catch him at the tower or whatever, or when you collect him, I guess, or Solgaleo during the day, if you take it to that place, it will open up a dimension to the other version. And it's funny. Like, literally, like, everything looks like, instead of the Lake of Moon, it's the Lake of Sun, and Tower of Sun, or whatever. And it's funny, but it's only cosmetic. Yeah. You can't find the version exclusive Pokemon there, and literally everyone talks to you the same. And the only thing it's really for, besides being able to do day or night specific events, yeah, it will treat it like it's, that time of day. So if you want to evolve a certain Pokemon that only evolves during a certain time of day, it'll work. And it definitely works if you're able to, say, collect, I don't know, like, whatever. Anyways, but the other thing is if you can actually get your own Cosmog there, and it will evolve into the specific evolution of your game. But it makes me wonder, does it matter? I mean, does it depend on which game you're on, like the actual game, not world you're in the game? But the game, does it matter if it's like if you're on Moon version, that's when you get Cosmog. But you trade it to Sun, would it become Solgaleo, or would it still become Lunala? I don't know. I have to actually look it up because I haven't done that yet. Anyways, so again, it's just one of those things where it's like, yay, I don't know. But again, like the Lucre episode was disappointing. It brings out more. The Pokemon games are awesome with bringing. A lot of times they bring out, especially later, they bring out more questions than they answer. And yeah. Anyways, so next there is a rumor about, no, correction, it has been in a sense confirmed that the Pokemon Company is working on a game referred to as Pokemon Stars. Now, the disclaimer, because everyone's like, oh, that came, well, it's possible that there's a lot of evidence points that it's the third version on the Nintendo Switch. Which everyone's like, oh, no, no, well, okay. So for right now, let's just pretend. Actually, I'll probably talk about that in another episode. But some things I would have changed just for Sun and Moon. Like, honestly, you get to go to the other world. Nothing changes. Like, literally, besides the cosmetics, and it's either day or night, depending on when you go. The opposite day or night that you go. So it helps with that, but nothing else changes. Literally, everyone talks to you the same. No one talks to you differently. Personally, if it was me, I would have added a way to find your alternate dimension character and have a battle against them. Like, here's, like, either have him have a canon team, or maybe even use it, like, have you fight the last Pokemon you inducted into the Hall of Fame. Of course, that makes me wonder, when it comes to the Hall of Fame, like, if you beat them again, you get to re-induct your team? Since you technically didn't become champion again, you're still champion? I don't know. Anyways, either way, something like that, and be able to fight that person. The only other explanation is the fact that technically that character is in your dimension while you're in his dimension. Because that would explain, like, because that would explain canon-wise how come, you could talk to this person, they say this, and you go back to your dimension, and now things already been done. In that case, it makes sense because, the person, in a sense, from this dimension, that's you, went to your dimension and did exactly what you did. Unfortunately, it still would have been interesting. I don't know. But yeah, there's a bunch of things that I'm a little disappointed on. They had a couple more mini games. SOS battles, they're annoying. Basically, after you defeat your first totem Pokemon, all wild Pokemon have a chance to do what's called an SOS battle, meaning they will call in an ally. Now, for chaining, getting like 4 to 6 IV'd Pokemon, getting even shinies, or even some Pokemon you can't catch in the wild. Otherwise, get a lower leveled version. Like apparently you can get a leveled Salamence or things like that. SOS battles are awesome. The problem is, if you just want to catch the one Pokemon you found, or you're just trying to hightail it out of there, they're annoying. Like, literally. Yeah, I found another way around it, either putting it to sleep or paralyzing it. It will cancel the SOS, but it's still... Yeah, because, like, you down, and you get him down low, and, oh, sorry, he called in another friend. And, yeah, it's annoying. Then you have the Pokemon you can't put to sleep, like Kamala. You can't paralyze it, you can't put it to sleep due to its ability. Like, really? So yeah, I don't know. It's just some of those things that are just annoying. But I don't know. Again, so really, the Pokemon Sun and Moon, they're pretty good games. Just for me, they didn't live up to their hype. I'll probably talk in another one about a possibility, about my opinions on what they should do for either the next game or the third version, if assuming Pokemon Stars is correct. So, with that being said, this is probably might be the longest Kane chat I've done in a while. So until then, I'll catch you later. See ya!